Poltergeist 1982. It still remains a mystery to know who really directed this film. Was it Steven Spielberg or was it Toby Hooper? I mean, it still remains a mystery because a lot of people that watch the film say that they recognise Spielberg's techniques in the movie, but when you ask a lot of people who actually directed the film, they say that Toby Hooper had seen most of the film when it was created. But when Steven Spielberg was asked about who really was the producer of the movie, he said that he was only there to make the important decisions, since Hooper wasn't the type of person to make was comfortable with making those final decisions of the movie. So yeah, that still remains a mystery. You can look from it at both sides, but I'll leave up to you who you really think is the actual producer of the movie. At the beginning of the movie, most of the audience think that it's going to be a friendly family movie at the start, especially with the first few sequences and start of the film. But as the film later goes on, we early on see supernatural occurrences happening throughout the movie. This is even before Carol Ann's abducted by the Poltergeist. And it's shown early on in some scenes, such as the chairs stacking themselves on the table during the kitchen scene, the spoon bends and the forks during the scene where the family's eating around the table. Then we also see when Robbie and Carol Ann go to sleep, the thunder happens at a certain pattern, which is every 4 to 5 seconds we see the thunder go off. That kind of suggests maybe there's some supernatural unseen force maybe possibly being behind that. So we even see early on that something might not be right here with the house and with the suburb area in general. As the family notice these supernatural occurrences, they invite investigators to come and check it out to say if there is a malevolent force that's happening here in the house, and that they need someone to come in and be able to stop whatever's causing all these issues in the house. So the investigators come in, and it doesn't take them that much time to realise that actually the objects are moving by themselves. There is indeed an unseen force present in the house. So they set up their own technology to recognise what spirits they're dealing with, and they do recognise the lights, and we see the spirits moving across the downstairs towards them in one of the scenes. Also, the investigators explained to us that the difference between a poltergeist and a haunting in one of the scenes, especially the lady who says, the difference between a haunting is that it usually affects an area, whereas a poltergeist usually affects an individual. A haunting can last up to a few years, whereas poltergeist only maybe lasts up for a few months. And they do later on work it out that it's actually a poltergeist that's causing the problem inside the house, as something's coming up and they're going out through the top. And it goes back to what they were doing with the rope, that, we see that it goes up through the house basically where the poltergeists are going, and then they receive the objects that come down. And as the film goes on, we do find out the reason behind the poltergeist happening. It's because the house is built over a cemetery. They moved the headstones, but they kept the dead bodies underneath the house, which is the reason why it's happening, as those spirits have not come to rest and they still haven't moved on to the afterlife, as we later learn is necessary. This movie had been one of the first horror movies to make us afraid of technology, and this is definitely shown throughout the film, I guess with the symbolism of the TV. And in a way, you could say, since 1982 to now, technology has become more relevant in our everyday lives. Especially now, in jobs, we now use computers more often than you did then. Maybe that's what the movie's trying to get us to think about. Because now, technology can have a negative effect on our house. For example, staring at a screen can cause problems for our eye health in general. And I guess with the TV, especially when we see Carol Ann a lot of the time fascinated by the TV, what the film's trying to get at is the harm that the TV could be doing for the children, especially since they're not protected from seeing whatever is on the TV. I guess there's a vulnerability there. I mean, in one of the scenes in the kitchen, Carol Ann's watching the TV, which starts off blank and then it flips over to a violent war movie. And that definitely gets at the point that we can't protect the children from watching whatever is on the TV, as almost anything can come up on there, and I guess they're not protected from that. So there is dangers in that. Is what the film tries to get at with technology, as it was becoming increasingly more relevant, especially back in the 1980s. And I guess technology is further demonstrated as a possible danger with the symbolism of Carol Ann being trapped in the TV and not being able to escape it being a very difficult experience for the family to get over, but they do eventually have to get it back. At the end of the movie, there's a really good twist that, kind of throws a lot of the audience off, as we think, they've got back Carol Ann that's been abducted by the poltergeist. That surely must be the end of the movie. No, there's another twist to it that catches us out even more. And there are a few scenes that really do intrigue us as the audience. For example, the mother's attacked by an unseen force, the poltergeist, in one of the scenes. That's a very interesting scene, very dramatic. And there's another one where this one catches everyone out who watches the film. It caught me out. It catches everyone that I know that's watched the movie, and that's when Robbie's attacked by the clown toy in his bedroom. And he looks on both sides of his bed, but no, it's underneath the bed. And the facial expression the clown makes is definitely horrifying when it's trying to strangle him to death. Yeah, that's a really good scene that they did. Very creepy. And yeah, definitely one that catches us all out. If there's anything we can take away from this movie, it's that there's definitely a vulnerability of being a child that a lot of us go back to experiencing. We were afraid of monsters, demons, ghosts, and there was a lot of things we couldn't comprehend, especially growing up. when being a child about all the unknown things out there in the real world that, we can't always be protected from. And I guess this is what the film tries to take aim at, the vulnerability of being a child. But another positive thing about the film is that it really shows the importance of the family sticking together, especially the mother who keeps believing that Carol Ann is still out there. And it's definitely shown in one of the scenes when the investigators are there with the family and she still has the TV on and she says, well, Carol Ann's still there. So even after she's been abducted, she still believes Carol Ann's still alive, and that shows hope. And then her desire to get back Carol Ann by the scene where she's attached with a rope and she goes to where the poltergeist have Carol Ann hostage and gets her out. So I guess in a way, if there's another thing we can learn is that hope is always important